Peace out there, everybody. What is the deal? We back with an interesting topic today. Very interesting, where I was unaware that what I was doing on here was rage bait. But some of the interactions that I've had over the last couple of days has demonstrated to me that, in fact, there's quite a few people that become enraged, right? There's quite a few people that become enraged about the things that I say on my channel. Now I'm just pulling this up over here because y'all know I need to be able to see the big screen. But yeah, I've what is this? Is the channel up? Okay. Jeweler TV. But yeah, it's become quite obvious, that there's some people out there, right, that don't appreciate me in general. And then, the things that we say here on this channel, or should I say that I say here on this channel, the last couple of, I would say maybe a month or so, right? Bobby Joe Billy, AGB, North Carolina. I always have to look at that a couple of times whenever your name comes up, because, we're so used to saying ABG. So I always have to look at that a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? But, I'm seeing that this is one of the things, right, that I can't leave out of 2025, right, without acknowledging this right here, right? He said, if they don't like what you're saying, then they need to unsubscribe or get a life. See, now look, I don't know if they're subscribed. Like these various people, I have no idea if they're subscribed. Almighty True Divine. I can only tell, when every blue moon they respond. So see, like, look, what was the brother? I can't recall his name. Phoenix? Is it Prime Phoenix? We see various times, like this year, look, remember it started with a trickle, right? With people just saying, people talking about a topic, right? And you didn't necessarily mention me, right? You didn't mention me, but you spoke on everything that happened, right? At various events, right? That, if you know who you was talking about. All the way to, we had a video where you can see my name was just coming up and coming up and coming up and coming up. So yeah, that's just something where it's like, okay. Look, we from the hood. So we know the ropes and the routine, but this stuff, look, my thing is, like I said, look, everybody gotta come outside. See, it's a difference. It's like back in the days, right, before it was video games, and then before it was like PlayStation, before the video games in the house overtook the video games at the arcade. It didn't matter if you score 1,000,000 points, right, on the one at the house, but you could just keep pressing continue. That wasn't the same as if you could turn the game over in the arcade. You had to come outside to play. See, those when you in the house, right? When you in the house just talking to yourself, that don't count. We don't even know that tree fell in the forest. You see what I'm saying? But see, what you got to realize is this, right? This is, look, you know me, right? I stand on the square. But see, look, you got to realize I'm just a scapegoat. See, that's what I'll be telling y'all, man, that you better pay attention to, right? Is that, see, I'm just a scapegoat. Right? I'm somebody that, you know, you could try to pin all of the ills, right? All of the negative things, right, that people want to think about the nation. See, I'm somebody to pin it on. See, all the things that they disagree, right, with whatever we deal with, see, I'm just a person to pin it on. See, that's why I bring, see, when I start speaking, right, you ever notice the person can never just speak to me. It always has to get extrapolated out. And see, this is, so, you know, the last, I guess you could say, contestant on the Summer Jam screen, right, is Supreme Scientist. You know, look, I had to address this. Just this one part here that I keep wondering, right? He approaches me again with this 24 scientists, right, being the 9 born in Mecca, right, and the 13 born in Medina. Those are 23 scientists, and then Allah makes the 24th scientist. Now, I don't know where they getting all this science from. I don't know what is the basis that they saying this stuff from. But how do we see in this knowledge, right, in this nation, one is first. Knowledge is first. Allah is one. So how is Allah not the first scientist? Somebody riddle me that. And then you have these 24 scientists, and Justice C is not a part of it. How is that possible? How could justice just get written out of the history like that? Now see, when you consider that his original issue, right? His original issue why this particular stalker attacked, right? Is because he had a problem with me demonstrating to people how to write their own history. And so he made the claim that it doesn't matter. Writing the history doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the action. See, somebody that thinks like that, I can see how you can be in something that leaves justice out of the history. It's clear to me how you could do that because of the type of person you are. So see, I asked him things like, so when you look at the God degree, right? And the God degree is giving us a degree of history, right? Because the degree of history that we're being taught in the wilderness of North America, right? Before certain brothers is coming to the scene, right? You know, the Chancellor G. Williams, the Carter G. Woodsons, you know what I'm saying? All of these brothers, the Noble Drew Ali's, I don't want to leave nobody out, but making that list is not my point right now, right? Before those people come about, the masses of us is being taught that we don't have no history that's not jungle savage history. We don't have no civilized history. See, what kind of jackass thinks that makes no difference, right? Between you learning that your only history is as a jungle savage and you learning that your history is as the father and mother of civilization. Put one in a box if you think that doesn't make a difference. See, this is how you know you are just a stalker, right? Because only hate can blind somebody that much to say something that stupid. See, there has to be a strong emotion. We're not talking about just a little green with envy right here. See, that's not dislike, right? Where you can go to that level of jackassery. See, one thing look, a lot of times, just let people talk. A lot of times, just let people talk. You can see when they talk, they reveal everything. See, the difference is, right, that you have to know how to not just listen, but hear. See, not just look, but see. See, you can look, right? You can look at something and you can read it, but you don't draw it up. You didn't see it. You didn't truly get no understanding from it. So see, look, you have to be aware of because see, I'm gonna tell you, look, this is why you gotta be aware. Right? What does this say? R172A. Interesting name. Welcome to the channel. He said that's why in this country you have a right to remain silent. Exactly. And see, let's not forget, right, that silence is wisdom. See, a lot of times, look, don't cut people off. Don't cut them off when they talking stupid. You see, every time you cut them off, right, you give them a chance to clean themselves up. They see if somebody's telling you a lie, right? If somebody's telling you a lie, they're like, yo, yeah, this person told me, and you're like, where's that person? Wait a minute. How did they came back from they came back from Dubai? Because I just talked to them 2 days ago and they said they was on their way to Dubai. Would you tell? Oh no, I didn't mean that person. I meant that. So you gave them a chance to clean that up. No, let them go all the way with the lie and reveal that no, you're not making a mistake. You're not being disingenuous. This is not an Instagram skit. You're lying. And see, we've seen, look, this is the thing, G. This is the thing. This is what I'm saying. It's amazing to me. The ridiculousness. The ridiculousness, right, of the level, right, the things that this hate, right, will allow you to say. Because you know, remember the couple of shorts that I made, right, where I just let people talk, and you heard the ridiculousness of these individuals always. But see what we see, right? What we see is like I said, see, it's certain times where what they think they detect is weakness. See, it's certain times what they think they detect is weakness. And it's certain things they don't understand. See, a lot of people, right, that's on the outside looking in, they think that the people that watch this channel all the time, right? We got people tuned in one time. But they think that the people that watch this channel all the time worship me. So that if they can show that I'm fallible, right, then they can win the minds of the people that watch this channel. See, they can show the world, right, that they must be the true 5% because the 5% worship this individual right here, and we show to prove that he's wrong. That's what they're trying to do. See, we know better. We know better. Man, listen, if Allah got assassinated and we kept pushing, you think who else is going to be the person to stop this train now? See, how many people type 1 in the box if you ever heard that Allah used to have a saying, one monkey don't stop no show. See, you know, just to the stalkers, because I know y'all out there. Yeah, how do you pronounce that? Mike Cow? How do you pronounce that? Mikal Allah. You said you heard that before, but it wasn't Allah. Yeah, I heard that. That's one of the things. So see, look, this is what I'm saying. This is my point, man. This is why we gotta be aware. This is why people gotta be aware. This is why, right? You know, we can't stop being us. Medina, what's the deal? We can't stop being us because see, that's what it is, man. Born magnetic. See, we've established something, right? That people wanna be a part of. You remember that book? How many people read that book, 48 Laws of Power? And in that book, it tells you to learn to despise what you can't have. See, here's the thing about that book, 48 Laws of Power. See, if you're not like that, you got to read that in the book. But Donald Trump has been doing what he's doing since before there was before the book, the 48 Laws of Power was written. And I'm not just saying he's just a famous name. He's just a famous name that I just brought up to represent the color, man. I'm not talking about politics and none of that. Because see, to some people, just like to some people, you know, when you see little kids and you might give them something and then you will see them go over it and give a piece of it to their little brother or sister. Or they might try to give some of it to their pet dog or their pet cat, because that's just in them to deal with equality. Right? You don't have to tell them to do that. If anything, you gotta tell them, no, don't give that to the dog. See, by the same token, some people is just negative naturally. Some people don't need to be told that, look, nah, you know, sometimes you gotta tell people, like, nah, don't be around that person, man. You gotta keep telling them. Nah, don't be around that person is bad. You gotta keep convincing them. See, some kids, you see them, they just naturally, like, they look at somebody and that person, whatever's the vibration that come off of them, you see they don't even talk to that person. And you be like, say hi, this is this person. The kid just be looking at them. Nah. See, by that same token, some people know they don't have to be told how to handle. That's their natural reaction, right, to not being qualified. You see, I was a little brother and a little cousin, right, before I came into the knowledge. So see, in my family, there was already things, there's games that they playing that they like, yeah, nah, you too little, man. Yo, we going over here, nah, you can't come with us. So see, I knew about being qualified. See, I know what it is to when that time comes, that's like, yo, you there, right? And then somebody like, yo, what's this little kid doing there? You like, nah, sure, he good. Cause see, you didn't show him improving. You like, nah, he can roll. See, I already had that experience. See, you deal with these other kids, man, you know, whatever is their background, I don't know. That's just something that taught me about being qualified and disqualified, right, from the jump. Well, look, we're not telling you that you disqualified because we don't like you. We're telling you that you're disqualified because we love you, son. If you fuck around and come where we going, you can get killed. How we gonna come back? How we gonna fix our mouth to say that when we get back over here? Nah, man, you can't come with us. So see, I understand the concept, and I understand that, okay, look, I gotta get my numbers up. You see, to other people, they, whatever it is, the way they respond is to despise what they not qualified for. There's a lot of funny people out here, G. To get back to the nitty gritty out here, man, we don't want to spend too much time. We don't want to spend too much time on it. But at the same token, look, this is why you see the Darkim that you see. Where, see, like I say, history is a lot. I'm not talking about even writing down, talking about your history with a person. Knowing people. See, a lot of people don't want that to count. See, a lot of people, right? It's like, with peekaboo, right? The little kids, they think you see what they see. So if they cover their eyes, right, they think you can't see them neither. They think when they don't see you, that you don't see them. So see, by that same token, with this 5% thing, that's what I noticed, that a lot of people, they come into the cipher, right, and they know themselves. Let's not even say they think. Let's say it's actual fact, right? They know that they're a righteous person. They know that they're just and true. But I do not. And I'm not from Mayberry. I'm not from Pigeon Lake, right? I'm from New York City. Where, look, like they say, it's 8 million stories. Listen, about 7 million of them is bad. if somebody that's from New York want to challenge that, go right on ahead. But I would say about 7 million out of 8 million stories, you don't want to be yours. So these is the kind of people that you have to do the knowledge to, man. You can't look at this in a vacuum, right? And like I said, you can't get caught up. Cause see, look, I look at the viewers, right? That's how you can get caught up. I look at the viewers and I see it's this much viewers, but see, now I realize, yeah, how much of these people is really stalkers though? How much of these people really got a doll, right, with a gray shirt and a blue hat on, and they sit in the house sticking the doll with pins? They got a doll hanging from a noose up or something like that. Beware of strangers bearing gifts. But back to the what's the name, man. We got any questions out there? Any questions out there to take us in a little bit different direction? And yo, did y'all see, man, Fly Tie, shout out to Fly Tie. Fly Tie passed away today. Meathead, Meathead got returned to the essence, man. You know, it was a wild day yesterday on the news. Is the mothership still coming? Look, it changed colors. Medina. In the like the last day or two, it changed colors. So now that you mention it, right? The way I'm set up today, I can't do. At least I don't know how. Right on this right here, I can't show the separate screens because I'm broadcasting straight from the mobile app. But yeah, it changed colors in the last couple of days. You know what I mean? So you're right. It is time for an update. It's crunch time. You know what I'm saying? You don't remember Fly Tide from Cold Chillin'? Yeah, man, Fly Tide, he was like the Puffy. He was like the Puffy of back in the days. You know, not with the stuff he got convicted for. Hold on. Let's pause. Not with that stuff. But saying, you know, he was the, Puffy, of course, dealt with more resources than, you know what I'm saying? But in terms of, him being a mogul, you know what I'm saying? Like what they built over there kind of became the standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people, they'll say Wu-Tang, right? But, Cold Chillin', they was at least that I recall, the first ones that had a producer, right? And all these various MCs. You know what I'm saying? And they had their own label, you know what I'm saying? And they putting out hits. You know what I'm saying? And, Fly Tide was, he was at least part of the brain power behind that. You know what I'm saying? So, like when I first started going to the parties and all that, like the biz dance and make the music and all of that, the bridge, MC Shan's first album, all of those was Tragedy Gaddafi came out of there. You know what I'm saying? It was a groundbreaking, and what happened over there got a lot to do with what hip hop became. The same way, what happened at Def Jam just had a lot to do with, what hip hop became. The vision that those people had is what ended up being manifested. You hear that? You hear that, Supreme Scientist? See how the vision can be laid down? Because I was trying to explain that to him too. Is that, see, when you're a leader, right, then you can speak, right? And what you say get manifested. But see, when you're not a leader, right, and you just a grunt, you just, that's all you know is grunt work. And then Meathead, I don't know what happened. They right now, it's they got the person of interest in the crime is his son. So that's a whole other story. Is that it? Everybody is. I guess everybody is super on point today. I suppose we don't have any questions, but that's actually suspect. I just want y'all to know, right, that that only works online. You see, if you don't know 120, right, and I'm almost positive that all the people on this live stream right now don't know 120, right? But if you don't know 120 and you've been studying your lessons, right, and you don't have any questions, it's kind of questionable if you've really been studying. You know what I'm saying? Like you may have been memorizing. You may have memorized the lessons, right? But if you studying them, right, you're gonna have some questions. You gotta, wonder. Look, there's questions like this, right? Why does the 1 in 14 say 15,019 years ago, and the 1 in 40 says 15,020 years ago? Because you don't just come into the knowledge. You don't just come into the knowledge naturally knowing the dates that the lessons was written. But see, if you're just memorizing, right, and regurgitating, then that's not going to register for you. So you might have even done some research. See, when you're looking for the answers, you got to look outside and inside. So yeah, you might have looked outside, right? You read whatever, books or whatever that, however you did your research, right? Maybe you went and dug up the artifacts, who knows? But then you didn't look inside. He said a black male opera singer, Jubilee Sykes, was also 86 by his own son on 12/9. What is going on? Yeah, that's whew. See, maybe I need to avoid my case for the rest of this winter. We just got finished talking about how some people may be suspected. But yeah, I never, it's, anytime you hear about somebody black in opera music, it's always interesting. But yeah, this particular person, I never heard of him before. He said, today is knowledge power. It is born to equality. But equality is the 5th degree of the alphabet. Okay, let's stop right there. Right? This is why you gotta be careful. See, because, first of all, supreme mathematics applies to everything. There's nothing that doesn't come from the principles of supreme mathematics, right? So that's one thing, right? A is the first letter, right? Now, by the same token, right, we have some things that, that's the same, right? So 7 is 7 is God, right? And G is the 7th letter. So that's the same, right? But see, what you just did, right? You just said, uh, you said, wait, so, well, let me see exactly what you said again, because that was, how do I get this back on the screen? You said, today is knowledge power. It is born to equality, but equality is the 5th degree of the alphabet. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? In the supreme mathematics, right? Equality is 6, right? In the supreme alphabet, right? Equality in supreme alphabet. Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. You because because here's the thing. This is why you get confused. Or this was because look, power is 16 in supreme alphabet. Like when you start mixing all of this together, right? When you start mixing the principles together, right? It end up getting confusing. Like it's one thing when you say that, you know, in the order of the letters, right? This is first, this is second, this is third, all the way out to 26. You know what I'm saying? But when you start, saying things, like y equals self, right? See, this is not Roman numerals and stuff, where you add together M and L and C and X and all these things. This is not, you don't add letters in that way that when you say y equals self. You start crushing up the principles, and at least for me, yeah, that starts to get, because because 6 is father. Six is father in the six is father in the supreme alphabet. Like that's what I'm saying. It's difficult for me to even, because I'm set in my ways. Like I've been manifesting it that way for 40 years, right? So when I read the question, right, it's not even the question, it's me. It's the my brain is difficult for me to understand it when it's mixed together like that. You said just say yes. Oh yeah, in terms of why yourself and all that. Yeah, just say yes. So why does the power degree in the 1 to 10 repeat with the culture degree in the 140, how you see that degree being in the lessons twice. Well, there's another one in there as well. Do you know the other one that is in 120 lessons twice? See, now we get, look, this is some nitty gritty stuff right here. Now this is what I'm talking about. He said the Father brought the equality to the youth who were left out of the knowledge. Right, the Earth is 93 billion miles away from the sun. Now, here's the thing, right? Have you ever added up all the lessons? Meaning, like, you got 10 plus 36 plus 14 plus 40 plus this is where it's plus the actual facts, right? And then plus 9 solar facts, right? So, King Math, you got 13 actual facts, right? So, when you add all that up, how much you get? $122. Now, did you know that originally, right? There's still brothers, depending on where you got the knowledge and when you got the knowledge, that have 11 actual facts. You got people that got 11 actual facts, right? Then you got people that got 11 actual facts, and then they got an asterisk next to something that says add-on facts, right? And then there's those like myself, they got 13 actual facts. See, originally, the 390,000 wasn't in there. But the guys, just like what I'm saying right now, right? From them going through the lessons and showing and proving it, right? They discovered that you were short of the Arctic Ocean in calculating the 139,685,000 square miles. So, matter of fact, let me add this part on, right, before people, because, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? But because, the Stalkers have let me know that people hang on my every word, right? The God brought that to Allah. And then Allah said, yeah, that's right. He went through the calculated himself and said, yeah, that's right. So, don't start coming from this live stream saying that I said some brothers made up 2 degrees and put them in lessons. See, I see, I see how the world is now. Like you gotta think like a lawyer. You you gotta, you gotta think like a lawyer. You understand what I mean? Because tomorrow, comment section will be lit up. But yeah, see, that's a question that you paying attention. You know what I'm saying? You know, look, the 900 years in the knowledge degree, in the 140. You said those must be important degrees to check twice. Well, I mean, this is just me, what I've drawn up about it, right? You know, have you noticed that those 2 degrees is about the same thing? So you know, look, that's something right there, right? That's a part of the mathematics of what you see right there. That, you know, draw it up. You know, just look. I'm just going to give you one direction, right? Now look, because those degrees is about what they about. Do not come back on this live stream saying that you came to the conclusion that the black woman is God. Do not. That's the one answer that's wrong. Like, even though it's your own understanding, I understand that's clear, right? That's the one answer that's wrong. Like, other than that, you other than that, right? Look, whatever you draw up, just make sure it's something you can live out. See, that's the problem, right? Is when you draw this stuff up and then you come up with understanding that you can't live out. And then you come to the conclusion that something's wrong with this. But really, you just came up with an understanding that you can't live out. Rather you did that, you know what I'm saying? You know, sometimes people come to an understanding when they lack knowledge. And so their picture is not clear. You know, you might have lacked knowledge. Right? And so when you did whatever actions, you know what I'm saying, that came from those ideas, the best part of that, right, was not very good. And so now maybe you don't even want to live that out. But you know, all the various you know, some things in the world of 6, some things in the world of 7. Right? People come to an understanding, right, that, you know, many times that the issue is they can't live it out. See, that's you know, how you make sure, or how I make sure, right, that my understanding don't become fantasy. You know, like you just fantasizing about various things. You know what I'm saying? You know, your imagination is just running wild and providing you with vivid pictures. But none of this stuff can be lived out. So now you cross that fine line, right, between creative power, right, and imagination. You know, and they related. It's not like, you know, imagination is wrong, right? I'm just saying that you have to know what category is what category. Who is this? Umar Mujahideen. Whoa. Christianity. Well, I mean, I like to consider people that, you know, people that you know, they like me or whatever. Those are Christians. Those are Christians. You know, look, I've been watching a lot of Hebrew Israelite videos recently, and so, you know, they have a particular issue with the ITY. Like, the Hebrew Israelites consider themselves Christians, but they don't like Christianity. You know, and I think I understand what they mean by that. See, I think they're speaking from the power degree. Well, not speaking from the power degree, but I think they're manifesting the same idea that we manifest in the power degree in the 1 and 14, that Christianity, Jesus' teachings, is not Christianity. They're saying that they're Christians, right? Because, you know, the way we manifest is, those is our righteous brothers, right? Or Jesus is their righteous brother or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But they don't believe in this, you know, doctrine, you know, that they came up with as a shield for their dirty religion. You know, I'm fairly sure that that's what I get from what they're saying. But no, I'm not. We don't deal with Christianity over here. You said Menadus said Hebrew Israelites consider themselves to be Christian. Well, let me say this. I've heard some Hebrew Israelites say that. You know what I'm saying? You know, the Hebrew Israelites is not monolithic. Like, it's not like in the 5% where, you know, we A, B, and C alike on most things. You know what I'm saying? You know, with the different sections in the Hebrew Israelites, they don't all have the same worldview like that. You know what I mean? So I don't want to say all Hebrew Israelites, but I've heard, you know, more than one. I've heard a few of them say that they're Christian, but they don't believe in Christianity. And look, they go out their way. They say Christianity. they put extra emphasis on it. You know. But where you get this name though from, Umar? I'm surprised. How have they not kicked you off of YouTube with that name? You must got pictures of somebody. You said other Hebrew Israelites call ICIU. I mean, like I said, I don't want to, the brother that I seen saying it, I don't think he was ICIU, but I'm not, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to put that on nobody's plate, right, that don't belong here, but I have heard them say that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to speak on that particular, sect, right? And then, but this person the last person that I heard said it, right? He was with, it looked like he was with the ISUPK. That was the other brother that he was talking with was ISUPK. He said, but to be Christian, they believe Jesus is a Messiah. Doesn't that contradict their Jewish beliefs? I mean, they interpret the Bible for themselves, though. You know what I'm saying? So, at least for me, right? A lot of, in terms of these specific stories like that, I only recall the interpretation that the preacher gave us. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I drew it up now for myself, but that's from a mathematical perspective. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, who you believe Jesus is, you know what I'm saying? Believing that he resurrected in 3 days and all of this stuff like that. I don't really get into that. You know what I'm saying? But that's something else. You said, I guess by the will of Allah, the Creator. So wait, I don't like how that sounds right there, Umar. See, when you say, I guess by the will of Allah, the Creator, right? And you say your name gives shock, but they don't take you off of here. So I'm saying, now look, you do know that my name is Allah, right? So I don't know if you trying to say here, you trying to, that's just some kind of shot. I don't know. Is that like a shot right there when you say Allah the Creator as if I'm not Allah? Is that what you're saying? Because I see that you here, like you said, you trying to be shocking. Yeah, Hebrew. I mean, I'm not Hebrew Israelite, so I don't, like follow it or whatever. But they have a lot of debates. They have a lot of debates with various people. You know what I'm saying? So I like things where people is going into different information. You know what I'm saying? Certain things like, right now, every channel got, what's up with the documentary about Puff Daddy. I don't watch stuff like that. Nigga, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So you said, so you are a 5% if I'm not mistaken. Now you're not mistaken at all. You're not even off 0.00001. You hit it. That's like you hit that's if this was Vegas, you would just won some money. Always bet on the black too, Umar. Let me make sure you always bet on the black. Where are you from? Where's your heritage? Where's your heritage from, Umar? But yeah, just in general, I like stuff where people is manifesting knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like even if, there's a certain level of ridiculousness. You know what I'm saying? That like sometimes, yeah, if they get too much into things that I consider spooky, right? Then I have to turn away. You know what I'm saying? But when they, going through the text of the Bible or whatever, and they presenting, they understanding, I like watching stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? He says, so what book do you follow or read for guidance? Well, we don't follow any book, right? We have the principles of supreme mathematics, right, that we go according to, but we don't have a book that we follow, right? In the book you have, these various books, they have laws, for you to go by and how to live, right? What we consider is that the supreme mathematics is actually the laws and principles of the universe. And so we stick with those. Now, you said you was born in the U.S. I asked you, where is your heritage from? You said aside from a couple of recent appearances, like the Israelite going on the Matan podcast. Is that the young kid that be talking crazy? Most of my exposure to the debates come from back in the days of, right. The Sanetta and all of that, I watch Sanetta sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of times I have to turn away, but like I don't watch Marvel movies. I used to like the comics and all of that, but that was kind of one of the changes that was made, when I got the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like that was one of the changes that I seen in myself, right? Is that all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but through being immersed in this culture, I came to find things with knowledge and information is being manifested as very entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Or who else did it? Even in the days when I was 85, there used to be this brother on TV named Gil Noble. Gil Noble was a bugged out cat, man. But Gil Noble would be bringing people on his channel, right, to drop all types of sciences, man. Like, and Gil Noble would be interviewing a politician. Hey, look, in the next week, Gil Noble is in the dope house. Dude's shooting up. Gil Noble was there with the camera and the microphone. How you feel right now? Is that Gil Noble was listen, ain't never been nobody else like Gil Noble, son. You know what I'm saying? I used to watch Gil Noble every week. And a lot of things, a lot of the people, like it is. You know what I'm saying? That was the name of his show. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the people, he was one of the people that he was around. He was older, so he knew the people that was in Selma and Montgomery and all these various places like that. So he'll have them up there one day. Then look, I seen him one day with a dude that was in my class in high school. The dude who was in my class in high school, he was a part of a group. There was some kind of group that they was affiliated with how Nelson Mandela came to New York. And they was on, like it is, giving an interview. I never forget. So I'm looking like, yo, that's my man right there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Tony Brown. No doubt, Tony Brown was another person. So yeah, that those were some of the things that I already found entertaining. You know what I'm saying? So there's various people that come on the shows, and I'm not on the same ideological framework as a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? But I could just appreciate what they was coming on there and manifesting. I was learning things. You know what I'm saying? Whether there was particular things that I was going to go on to use, in life or not, I find learning entertaining. You know what I mean? So, it's I check a lot of those types of shows. You said you was born here in the U.S. unfortunately. So look, if you was born in the U.S. unfortunately, right? That means your heritage is not from here. So you put here, your heritage is Black American. No, it is not. You got look. I hate to do that to you, but no. You said, do you believe there is a heaven and hell? Believe is a very strong word, right? I don't use that word because believe means that you don't know, right? So you said yes, it's not Africa. I didn't ask you if you're from Africa. I said, where is your heritage from? But no, we don't believe in heaven and hell. Let's leave it like that, right? Or we don't believe in an afterlife, heaven or hell. But our worldview is that heaven and hell is conditions right here on the planet. The original Mr. 120. But we funny that way though, Umar. We like to know who we dealing with. So back to the question. Where's your heritage from? You said your heritage is America. See, you don't have good enough command of the English language. They just from your comments, right? You're not just the way you're communicating, right? And I look, this me. I realize that I'm not my command of the English language is not the best, right? But what I'm seeing from your comments, it doesn't appear that English is your first language. You said I was watching an Osho vid and he said, belief is the most dangerous thing because when you believe, you stop inquiring, and science is based on doubt, so you never stop inquiring. So who's Osho? You said maybe I just a second class black man. See, this is what I'm saying now. Is there anybody, right, that when you see that, right, maybe I just a second class black man, right? You know, is it me or does it seem like maybe English is not his primary language? So Osho was the Indian guru from the 70s and 80s. Was that the guy that brought? Nah, he's from the 60s. His name is Ananda or something like that. My heritage is American, nothing else. I'm saying now. Look, I don't. See, this is what I'm saying. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter, right? I just like to know who I'm dealing with, right? It's not we on this channel. We from everywhere, right? From look, we got a brother that comes on the channel that's Yoruba, right? And we got white people that come on the channel, right? And we brothers, right? But look, your avatar, you look really, really light skinned. You look really, really light skinned in your avatar. What am I getting at? Let me speak clearly, right? I like to know who everybody is that I'm dealing with. See, because you see the title of this live stream where it said when stalkers attack. So see, I got to turn and face you. Not, not. See, this is what I'm saying. If your heritage is Black American, then you're supposed to understand where I'm coming from right now. That's supposed to be. See, that's a Black American thing. You said I'm not attacking. No, I'm not saying you attacking. Not yet, at least. But that's because stalkers don't attack when you pay attention. All right, so look, I'll let you. If that's what you're saying, right? If that's what you have us believe here today, right? But I just want you to know something. This 5% thing is a face-to-face science, right? So you're Black. You said, okay, a lot of Blacks get scared of me. See, how many Black people use the word blacks in 2025? All right. What part of America? What part of America? What part of America you from, man? No. Nobody in this chat uses the term blacks. Like I haven't heard anybody that's Black use that since the 60s, man. We don't say black man. We don't say blacks. We say the black man, meaning all of us. The black women, meaning all of them. Right? Even I don't use that term in particular, but Black folk, Black people, blacks. Look, type one in the box if I'm wilding and you hear black people using the term blacks all the time, right? If you don't generally hear black people using the term blacks, put two in the box. No, you're not bugging. He compared Allah to Yaqub. See, look, like I told the people, that's what I had to pull out. That's all that was for. See, I just had to shine the light right there. See? Because now everybody can see the ridiculousness of you using our flag. You say go on. So if I go on YouTube, I'm going to see black people using the term blacks. Because I watch other channels. Like, look, I watch Savvy Sabs. Savvy Sabs that gives the news. I watch the dude, Jared Bell. You know, I mix what I like. Tim Black. I watch Tim Black. You know, who else is out there that I watch? And I don't hear, and they speak in those terms. Like, they speak in terms of the population of black people. And I don't hear them using that term. Nonsense. Look, I don't know if this is some kind of thing that you rationalize in your mind. Like maybe you are first generation. Like your parents is from someplace else. But being that you was born in America, you might be calling yourself Black American, but nah. But anyway, look, let's let it go. So I take it you Muslim. Can we get that? Right? So as a Muslim, right? You said you Black American, right? Are you NOI? I'm a Muslim, but I do not consider myself God. Okay, so are you NOI? Can somebody tell me why this guy keeps spelling Africa with a K? So you Sunni Muslim. So that's already a little bit, you know, over here, you know, in the order of Muslimness, you know, we recognize the NOI as the Muslims. But I digress. So what brings you, you know, how'd you gain knowledge of the 5%? You said because proper spelling Africa incorrect. Real spelling with a K. Africa spelling with a C is incorrect. Real spelling Africa with a K. See what I'm saying? The language that you use. So yeah, what brings you in you know, what caused you to be curious about the 5%? Shaka Nulu, what's the deal? See, this is another reason why I'm telling y'all this. This is what happens, man. See, in my time, when I first started out with the teaching, see, it was better when you was running into people and they might have seen 5%ers around, but nobody really, like when I first heard the black man is God, a person could have told me they was a Martian, and it wouldn't. It would the impact would have been the same, because that just sounded off the wall. I've never heard nothing like that before. You understand what I'm saying? You said, I heard about it, or my friend, I saw the word AllahChrist drew in the chat. Okay, so what makes you curious? What makes you curious about the word AllahChrist? You said, I thought it was anti-Islam. With a lie in it, you thought it was anti-Islam? That's why you ask, am I Christian? Okay, so now that you know I'm 5%, right? You said a lot of Christian apologists use that term. Yeah, I'm absolutely not an apologist of any kind. And so, if I was a Christian apologist, you came on to, I guess, because, Christian apologists, they love debate. Yeah, I mean, it's only a few, I actually just, I guess I've been seeing them my whole life, but I just really found out that's who these people that I have been seeing, that's who they are. They're Christian apologists, So, I'm not that familiar with it, but yeah, I never heard them use my name either. Oh, you just wanted to hear some BS from them. The dude nicknamed Banana Hands? No, I don't remember Banana Hands. Okay, so now that you've been here, right? So you said that, you came in just to hear some BS from the Christian apologists, but, and say that to the Christian apologists when you see them to their face, right? But, so now that you came here, right, and you stumbled into the 5%, what did you hear? What have you heard since you've been here? What category would you put the stuff that you've heard since you've been here? said you only got an introduction. All right, well, look, stick around. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you choose to do, you know what I'm saying? You know, I guess if you got any other questions, you know what I'm saying, besides the heaven and hell question, you know what I'm saying? Because we not religious people. You know what I'm saying? See, one of the reasons why I want to know who you are and everything, right? You know what I'm saying, is because who you are is more important than whatever you believe. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, especially in terms of your righteousness. See, if the term righteous man, right, can properly describe you, then this is because we don't believe in heaven and hell and the afterlife. You don't have to know the magic word to get into heaven. You know what I'm saying? Like for Christians, the magic word is Jesus Christ is my Savior. For Muslims, the magic word is there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. We don't have a magic word. We just pro-righteous. You see what I'm saying? So, you say you're not going to stay just to listen. I mean, like I said, do what you do. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, it doesn't matter. Right? You could be tall, you could be short, you could be fat, you could be skinny. You're going to get the same truth. Like, I don't have multiple medications here. Where you go to the doctor and he got a prescription for your high blood pressure, a prescription for your diabetes, you know what I'm saying, a prescription for your migraines. Now, so you're like, so do you often, like, this is what you do? Like, you battle with the Christian apologists? Because you said that you want to hear the nonsense so you can debunk and stop them from spreading lies. See, once again, your English language barrier is kind of being demonstrated here. But like, that's what you do. You debate and battle with Christian apologists. Why do you debate with the Christian apologists? You said English is fine, considering on this chat room. I'm defending my faith in Islam. So how is the Christian apologist, like, how are they attacking your faith? You said, what? It's not what you writing, it's the way you reading it. See, that's the first black thing you said. That's the first thing you said right there. Man, look, you might be like I can't remember the brother name. Remember it was Jenny on the Jeffersons? And she had the brother. Maybe he liked the brother. But yeah, that's the first thing you said. It's like, yeah, you might be a brother. I don't know. But this is what I'm saying. How are they attacking? Like, were they just talking? They talking bad about it? You said by spreading lies on live chat, telling other people about Islam, which is not true. Telling other people things about Islam that are not true. Yeah, but can those lies reach Allah up in heaven? Like, what I'm asking, right, is that, like, if they spread the lie, is that gonna stop the truth? Who is this? The Machine 90? You said just knowledge 120, learning how to draw up the degrees using the mathematics to get a deeper understanding. Or do you have any advice as far as the process to break it down? I mean, no, not really. It's one of those things. See, I can tell you certain things, right? Like, I can sit down and draw up a whole game plan, right? That you can have Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, draw up a game plan, but you gotta get on the field. Without getting on the field, right, you can't win the game, right? You can't get to the best part. So, in terms of advice, the only advice, I would have to start with, where you from? My advice would be to find a true and living that's close by you, right? So you can observe the supreme mathematics in motion. Cause see, like what you just said, that's the process. You knowledge 120 and then you draw it up. You know what I'm saying? It's like the teacher can write on the board all these problems, but you gotta go home and do the listening, because when you get to the test, only you can do the test. When you get to the test, right, and the test here is real life. Is when you go outside and you have these understandings and then you gotta live them out. So, I hate to answer the question with a question, but where are you from, the machine? So, you saying that Allah up in heaven, you said You said it causes a stranger to walk at you to start something. Listen, brother, just, I think our conversation would go better, right, if you just be honest about who you are. But just get back to the point. So you're saying that if people spread lies, right, if the Christian apologists spread their lies, that people are going to approach you for violence? See, look, Umar, this is a little bit, is, I'm 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 fascinated by this, right? Because we're not religious people. Like, we're not uh under the impression that it's like, oh well, you got these heathens over here, and somehow by what they're doing, they're stopping the Messiah from coming back to save us. See, that's something different, right? That now that you have these people where it's like, well, we have to be in control of this geographic location, right? In order for our Savior to come and save us, right? Because we don't believe that, right? We don't need to vanquish people that's living their life. We don't expect them to agree with us, and we do not care. So I have encountered a white man who approached at me at the store. I mean, and you're sure that it's because of the Christian apologists? Look, we have to be clear. When you make these kind of accusations, because that happens sometimes. But people, I don't want to be in a situation where you're not taking accountability, and then I'm just believing you on face value. So I gotta ask you, when you was in the store, right? You wasn't shoplifting or nothing like that, right? When you said this white man, I'm just asking. I'm not saying that you was. But sometimes I see where people said, I don't know if he was going to hurt me, but he didn't like me. Not that I wanted him to like me. But if he was just walking towards you, how do you know he didn't like you? You said, my name is Unique Vision. I'm from Long Beach, California. My educator is Jerul, and my facilitator of life, my facilitator is Life Allah, and was just trying to get another perspective. What's a facilitator? And which Life Allah are you talking about? Yeah, but Unique Vision is I'm not trying to be harsh with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, look, that's how I got to where I got. You know what I'm saying? And what I've seen is that, there's things just in general in life, right, that you can kind of cut corners. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I know people that they recorded themselves speaking 120 lessons. So then that was how they studied it. They recorded it, and then that's how they learned to quote it. You know, they would play it while they was resting, all types of things. Right? So that's like something where, you know, you got various things where you may be able to find an easier way, right? But gaining understanding is not one of them. Just in my experience, you know what I'm saying? That's something that, you know, you gotta walk with God, because, you know, your understanding is necessarily going to be based on your experience as well. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, perspectives, you know what I'm saying? You know, nobody else is going to have quite your perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like you could have brothers and sisters that you grew up, same house, same conditions, same breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then y'all have different perspectives. You see what I'm saying? So that's not to be harsh. That's just one of those things that, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that's the truth. You see what I'm saying? Because, you know, it's not that, you know, you're going to see something different than I see, right? If we're looking at the same knowledge and wisdom, then our understanding is going to be similar. But we all got to see that understanding for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, like, if we crossing the street and a car comes speeding out of no place, right? You got to see that car for yourself to avoid it, right? You need your understanding to save your life. You see what I mean? If I just say car and you don't see the car, you could run right into the car. You could into the car's path because you didn't see it for yourself. You see what I'm saying? And so, you know, hopefully that's a different perspective. You know, well, not a different perspective, or, you know what I'm saying, that's a, you know, you can look at that itself as a perspective, right, in drawing up understanding. So you said, I don't steal, nor do I don't steal, drug or smoke weed. He came very close to me. I mean, look, at this point, you know, I don't know if, you know, I don't know what's causing you to, you know, feel that way about this individual, you know, but look, you know, especially in light of a lot of things that's going on in the world right now, you know what I'm saying? You know, I hope you don't decide to react, you know what I'm saying, in a way that you know, just bring about in a destructive way. You know what I'm saying? Where, you know what I'm saying, I don't know, you know, what you thinking. You know, I'm not there, so I can't say that, you know, that there's, you know, nobody is coming against you or whatever. But, you know, if the person, if you said you just seen them and they walked towards you, but they didn't do nothing, you understand what I'm saying? You know, so it's like, you know, you saying that somebody was going to do something to you that already came and went. You know, we have to look at that possibility, right? That maybe, you know, you're paranoid for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? See, like that's what I'm saying when I ask you, like, where are you from? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not that what you just said, right? You said that, you know, a white man was walking towards you and you thought he was going to do something to you. Like, what, he had a badge or something? Like, I don't know black people whose heritage is in America. Like, look, I tell you, like Bernie Mac, you know, black people wish a nigga would. So, I don't know, maybe that's the case, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you need to take up martial arts, you know what I'm saying, some kind of boxing or something. So, you know what I mean, you can raise your confidence level, you understand what I mean, where you don't have to feel, threatened just by somebody walking past you like that. I don't even understand that concept, man. Like, look, the brother here from Long Beach, I'm sure he's with, like somebody's walked past you, and, and now look, somebody walked past you whenever that happened, and now you're on this page still defending against that. That's, you gotta live your life, man. See what I'm saying? One thing in this, man, see, we have the fear taken out of us, man. See, all these various things, this is a little bit like, look, just be sure, man. Don't, don't hurt nobody out here, man. You know what I'm saying? And you thinking this person could be a Buddhist that was walking towards you. Like, he don't got nothing to do with, that's not American. Don't react like that. It's not Asiatic either. You said you stated if you study in 120 and don't have questions, something is wrong. So I asked the question. Oh no, that's something different. But in particular, I meant a question about 120. So now, if you would ask me a specific question, then I could help you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you said, well, I was drawing up this degree right here or that degree right there. You know what I'm saying? Or, I seen this person play this role. Because see, ultimately, that's what the understanding is about, right? The understanding is about you being able to recognize these people in these situations in real life. You understand what I'm saying? And for you to be able to see that, okay, this person right here that I'm interacting with is a Yakub. Like, this is the role that they're playing in the cipher that we in right now. You see what I'm saying? So, if from a specific question, but if you're just talking about the mechanism of gaining understanding, right? I mean, look, right? Here's it. This is something that I drew up right here, right? That we have to say, like, see, when you understand, then you live it out. See how we say understanding is like the black child. So see, in the same way, right, that you can't make a baby over the phone or over the internet, right? You can't come to that understanding. No other, you can't come to this understanding. You know what I'm saying? Without the experience either. Shaka Dude said, especially in the LBC. That's what I'm saying. Like that, to my knowledge, black people in America, we don't have, we don't have that kind of. So look, I got one for you. I got one for you, Joe Manchin. I mean, the machine. What you say name is again? At any rate, so do you know the whole 120? You said you were studying 120. What degree are you up to now? What's up? Okay, so in the 36th degree, right? You got 6,020 years, right? 72,241 months, right? 2,197,351 days, right? Now, if you multiply 6,020 by 365, you get 2,197,300 days, right? Where do the 51 days come from? Look, you ain't got an answer right now, right? You ain't got an answer right now. And see, this is a good example, see, because you ain't gonna find, you can't research the answer. Not to my knowledge. I've never seen this answer written down anywhere, right? This is something that you're gonna have to go into yourself. You're gonna have to go into your own mind, right? And draw up the knowledge and wisdom that you have, right? In order to come with that answer. All right? Did you get that, or you need me to say it again? See, the people that's been here for a long time, right? If you've been here since the beginning of the live, you remember when that was one of the questions of the day. Okay. So in the 36th degree, right, it tells you 6,020 years, right? You know, what are the exact number of years, months, and days that would be in birth on our planet? 6,020 years, 72,241 months, 2,197,351 days. Right? Now, if you multiply 6,020 years, right, times 365 days, right, the 365 days in every year, you get 2,197,300 days, right? So where do the other 51 days come from? See, that's the kind of thing. See, if you go into the lessons and you go on to show and prove, that's what I'm saying. I say, wait a minute, is this right here? You know, look, we know it's Elijah, but that don't mean you ain't got to check for yourself. Like I said, everybody got to see understanding for themselves. Just because Elijah said it, right? Now, see, once you add it up for yourself, now you can say it for yourself, and you don't have to say, right, that is because Elijah said that, right? You can say that because you showed and proved it for your own self. But see, it's something that you got to draw up, because like I said, it's not something, right? That's not something that you could go to an encyclopedia, right? You can't just Google where the other 51 days come from. At least not to my knowledge. I don't know. They got ChatGPT now, so I don't know. Maybe it's been tapped into over there. So you know, hopefully you got it that time, right? Hopefully you got it that time, and you know, whenever you get a chance to come back on the live stream, like I said, it don't have to be today, right? But eventually, see, that's one of, you know, I guess maybe, you know, I have to go back on my word, right? when I said earlier that no, I don't have any advice, but look, that's one thing. You got to ask yourself the right questions. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like when you going into the lessons, right, to draw things up, you got to ask yourself the right questions about, why this, you understand what I mean? Or, what does this coincide with? So, Umar, look, the best I could tell you is that, man, is, how old are you, Umar? But like, take up some kind of boxing or taekwondo, anything. Get you a pull-up bar. You know what I'm saying? The floor is always available for push-ups. You see what I'm saying? But you gotta see that kind of fear that you have is dangerous. See, this is one of them situations where the person say, look, if I got somebody, has a weapon, on me, I'd rather it be somebody gangster than somebody scared. Like you might have heard people say that before, but you just remind me of this situation, man, where it's like you dangerous. You know what I mean? Because like you said, you in the store, right? You talking about this person is going to attack you, so you could react in a way, right, to defend you. You think you defending yourself, right? But you got all these bystanders in the store. You got to stay in the house, man. Menadu said comes from leap years. Look, very good. Very good. How would you say? That was a good idea right there that you came with, right? That wasn't just a guess, right? Because that's legitimate. That there's leap years. Now, just a jewel, right? Because I went through the arithmetic myself. The leap years are not included. I think it's been a long time since I went through the math, right? If you consider the whole 6,020 years, right? There's 104 leap year days. There's 104 leap year days that would have been missing. If you calculate the whole 6,020 years in the Gregorian calendar. Because remember, there's no leap year days before the Gregorian calendar. But the math that he did, right, coincides with the Gregorian calendar. The alerts, you got to make sure that you got the notification bell clicked, because what happens, even if you click it, sometimes for whatever reason YouTube will unclick it. Like there's been times when, I said that and the person went and checked and it was like, yeah, I had it clicked before, but however, whatever happened, they took it off. But look, you gotta realize that what we saying on here, right? What we saying on here is, not exactly, that I don't know if the algorithm likes us over here. You said, is it because the conversion to Asiatic calendar years to Gregorian years? You know, look, you know, these are good questions, but no, it's not from the conversion from Asiatic years to Gregorian years. Oh yeah, I did. Hey, look, Napalm, don't you hate when spell check? Look, especially when you try to curse somebody out and spell check be changing all your words to nice words and shit. Don't you hate that? When you try to curse somebody out. And spell check is changing all of this, man, to a love song. I hate that. So Umar said he's leaving. Okay, look, it's okay if you leave, right? We don't have a problem with that. But just the last thing, just please, man, please take up some kind of boxing or something where you don't have to be scared. You know, like that. You see, that's their job saying like that, right? That you say scared to life. You know how people say, yo, that person is scared to death. Like, nah, you ain't even scared of death. You scared of life. See, this is what I'll be saying, man. When fear is a seed that's planted in you. See, that's why when a person have fear in them, right? They can walk down the street, right? And see people on that street and get scared of them. And be scared. Right? The same person can walk down the same street and don't see nobody and be scared. See, in one instance, you scared of the people, right? In the other instance, you scared because there ain't no people. The exact opposite thing, you still scared. So see, that's a seed, man, that you got to take out from the root. You got to take that out from the roots, huh? You can't just cut that with the lawnmower. See, it's yeah. I might care. This one situation, this is the lawnmower shit, right? This one situation. You scared of people? Alright, look, walk down there with you. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we can do that, but see, you still scared. All that's gonna happen is you're gonna turn the corner and run into another group of people. And then this stuff becomes dangerous to people, man. This stuff becomes dangerous because now if you react on that fear, you understand what I mean? The same way is glorious, man, when people react on love. Right? You know, like I said at the start of this, what's the name right here, right? You know, people react on hate. See, emotions is an idea with it has a motivating force with it. See, love has a force that brings things together. See, fear has a force that destroys things. that out of you, man. It's one thing that you came on this channel, man, and met the 5%ers, right? And listen, that's the lesson I got for you. That's it. So you gotta deal with that first. See, when you got that level of fear, that's uncivilized. See, for you to be reacting off of that, that's whatever you do, trust me, it's going to be uncivilized. What you said here, is it because of the varying number of days in a month? No, because we didn't calculate by months. We calculated by 365 days in a year. See, now look. See how we say supreme mathematics is the problem solver? See, this is what I mean when I say that. Look, you got to go into yourself and draw up all the knowledge and wisdom that you have. So see, one of the things that we learned, right, back in school, right, we had a whole section of arithmetic where we learned about problem solving. You know what I'm saying? And we learned about, what is the useful information, right? And what is the useless information? And then you got to figure out how to use that information, right? Do you need to add, right? Do you need to subtract? You know what I mean? Are they asking you how many apples you got left? You know what I'm saying? How many apples do you have now? All this different language, right? We learn how to put it in a mathematical form. Like I said, we don't add, letters, right? But we do have a field of arithmetic called logic. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who took geometry, right? Then you learned about, P and Q, right? If not P, then Q, P or Q, P and Q, right? And, rather these things result, these ideas that's represented by P and Q, rather, how they use together, right? Whether they form contradictions or whether they form, whether they create pictures that you can live out. You see what I'm saying? So these is all things, don't forget that. Like all of the stuff, sometimes it happens to us, right? Where we get the knowledge, right? And you start thinking that you have all this high-powered knowledge on the level of 7, right? But you still gotta remember the stuff you learned from day one. See, if because your parents taught you so well, right? When you got here, we didn't have to tell you to brush your teeth. We didn't have to tell you to take a bath. You see what I'm saying? But all of that stuff is still civilization. You see what I'm saying? So by the same token, right, these things that, we learned, whether they was in arithmetic class, right, they was in science class, like I said, I recall specifically wondering, we in the class, we complaining about various things. I'm like, yo, when am I ever going to need to know that it's 360 degrees in a circle? Like, my pops don't be talking about this. How come he doing his thing, he got a job and everything, and what is this 360 degrees in the circle, all this geometry, why we gotta know this? A couple of years later, here I am. So all of that counts. Yeah, do we have to draw everything up? You know what I'm saying? Was we miseducated in some places? Yes. Right? But not totally. There's things that could be lived out. See, right now, you in a house, right? That house was made from arithmetic. See, all of everything that we dealing with, right? There's always a mathematical representation. See? Your age, your height, your address, right? How big your house is. Whatever it is, right? It has a number, right, that is distinct because, see, one can only be one. 1.1 is something else. So I'm just saying that, right? I'm saying all that look, let's, it's nothing crazy, right? It's using the knowledge and wisdom that you've been building up, right? The entire time that you've been conscious. I'm talking about, we have times when we babies that, we don't recall that. That doesn't remain in our conscious, right? It's in our, subconscious and all that, but that doesn't, a lot of that knowledge don't remain in our conscious. You know what I'm saying? But all of it counts. You see what I'm saying? This is where people get confused when they think that we just an offshoot of the Muslims, right? When they think that, no, that's not what it is. This is a life science. You said, how come the number of months doesn't calculate to the same? What do you mean by that? Now, what we dealing with, Jaquan, is, drawing up the 36 degree, right? Where it says that 6,020 years, right? 72,241 months, 2,197,351 days, right? So if you multiply the 6,020 years times the 365 days in a year, you get 2,197,300 days. And so the question, right, is where does the 51 days come from? So what you said here? You said 72,220 and 72,241 months times the 30 days in a month. You get 2,167,230 days. Okay, so now what you got to do is this, right? In order to complete this math, the arithmetic of it, right? What you have to do is say, how many months in a year have 31 days? You know what I'm saying? Well, actually, you could even do this. If you say the 12 months in a year, right, times 30 days, you get 360 days, right? So now you got to multiply 5, right? The 5 days that you left off wait a minute. The 5 days that you left off, you have to multiply the 6,020 years, right, times the 5 days that was left off in each year, right? And when you get that number, then you have to add it to that 2,167,230 days. And that will bring you back to 2,197,300. You understand what I'm saying? That the calculation that you did through the months, you left out 5 days in every year. The machine, why you keep saying is 7 days? Oh, I'm gonna tell you why that. You saying that it's 7 months? I'm gonna tell you why that's not. Why that happened? Because remember, February got 28 days. So while he was short 1 day, right? In wait, how would that work out? He's short 1 day in some months, and he's short 2 days, or he's over. For him to say it's 30 days in February, he's over by 2 days. You see what I'm saying? And then in the months where that is actually 31 days, he's under by 1 day. I'm sure there's easier ways to explain that last part that I just said mathematically, but that's what it is. Because the 2 days in February, it ended up coming out to 5 days. But look, it's going to take some brain power. You know what I'm saying? But look, it's one of those things, right? It's one of those things that when you get the answer, right? It's one of those things that when you get the answer, it's going to be like, come on. But that's the thing about understanding. Is that the naked eye can hardly detect it. And it's happening all around you. That's what happens. That's developing the third eye, right? Understanding means to see. See, we got this right here with the naked eye. But then you got a telescope, right? You can look way out there. Then you got a microscope. You see what I'm saying? In each one of those things, right? You looking out in the sky, right? And all you see is darkness. But then you get a telescope, you see a whole bunch of stuff. See, you can look right here at your hand, right? You just see your hand. But then if you look at it with a powerful enough microscope, you see all types of cells and bacteria, all types of stuff. And it's there the whole time. But you have to have the ability to see. You see what I mean? So this answer, is like that. All of the answers to the stuff I say is like that. You know what I mean? Because I don't have no mystery science. I never been to the secret. I never been to the secret library at Luxor or no place. I've been to all the same libraries y'all been. Right? I've been to New York City public school. You understand what I'm saying? So, it's never going to be on the other side, of Alpha Centauri where my answers is going to be at. Right? Because I don't know nothing about over there. Right? It's it's not like, well, it's because, the other 51 days they spent coming from the planet Xenu. It's never going to be nothing like that. You understand what I'm saying? So, it's in your grasp. You know what I'm saying? These are, I asked this particular question, right? But I'm saying, I didn't, you could ask yourself this question, right? Or all the rest of the questions in 120, right? Or in anything that you're dealing with, right? And that's how you develop your mind. You know what I'm saying? That's the scientific progress, scientific process, right? Where we question this thing right here, right? You know what I'm saying? Even if, we got a cell phone, right? We question, can we make it better? Now we got the internet on the cell phone. You know what I'm saying? Is people still asking themselves questions, how can we make the battery longer or whatever it might be? You know what I'm saying? And then that leads to growth and development. You see what I'm saying? See me, that's what I deal with, you know what I'm saying? Some people, you just hanging around. Y'all hang around, do what y'all do and all that. You see what I'm saying? And then, look, some people, they don't want to, this type of question, they don't want to hear no shit like that. But that's good. That makes you get away from me. Like if me dealing with knowledge makes you get away from me, guess what? When you come around me, I'm a computer. When you come around me, I'm a computer. That's all I want to talk about. That's how you get rid of negative people. Just start talking about the knowledge all the time. Nigga, look, motherfucker gonna just be like, yo, let's go check such and such. Like, nah, I don't check that nigga, son. You talking that shit, son. Don't even go around. You see what I mean? And by the same token, those who want to know, they're going to seek you out. They're going to come and say, yo, I heard about this such and such, you know what I mean? I wanted to but I don't know how to, what's your name? People said that you know all about that science. That's what's going to happen. You understand what I mean? When you start, when your cipher starts glowing, right, with that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know what I'm saying? With that love, peace, and happiness, with that truth and righteousness. You see what I mean? People going to make a decision, right? And that decision is going to be to stay away from you. See, now that clears the picture up. See, now when somebody come, you know what it is. Because people know not to play with you. You see, when you playing Mickey Mouse with them, they gonna play Mickey Mouse with you. But shout out to Umar. You know what I'm saying? Once again, look, I'm concerned because I got kids, man. You see what I'm saying? Like, see, I know, when I hear that sound, I know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Whether I got to stop, drop, and roll, you know what I'm saying? Whether I got to get up out of there or whatever. But see, my daughters especially, they ain't lived that life. So I don't want nobody, wilding out in the store. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what measures they take, man? Like, almost every day. That's the top story in the news now. You understand what I'm saying? Like, like I said, that's some, even for me, right? Where it's like, okay, I know what all of that's like, but it's kind of like, that's too random, G. Like, I know when I go in this neighborhood, what the possibilities of it. You know what I'm saying? I know when, I see certain people, what they about, I know what the possibilities is. But, when you just, who knows what store he's in? You in the 99-cent store trying to buy a can opener. Right? You don't know nothing about this. Like, you understand what I'm saying? That's a different level of randomness, right, that I'm just not used to. You said, and whoever them should say, indeed, I am God, I am a God besides him, that one we would recompense with hell. Thus do we recompense the wrongdoers. Holy Quran 21:29. Okay, now let me tell you something about that. I'm not afraid of hell. They see, if he's so interested, right? If he's so interested in me knowing that he's God, he needs to show and prove it. See, again, I don't, want to make this stuff too heavy, right? But look, there's things going on in the world, right? When we look at the geopolitical situations, look, and it's not just Islam, right? What I'm saying is that, look, when you look in Sudan, right? You look in Palestine, you look in Ukraine, right? You see all these various situations where people believe whatever they want to believe, right? But you got to come help those people. See, before you make me scared that you're going to send me anywhere, let me see you deliver all these people over here that believe in you. And I'm talking to whoever it is they believe in. See, let me tell you something. You say you black in America, right? Name me one God, right? Name me one God that came and saved us. I'm talking about from Heru to Shango to Jesus to whoever else. Only people I know came and saved us, did anything to improve our situation, was black men and women. So, see, like I said, with this other situation, when you talking about somebody's walking towards you, yeah, so that somebody said that, somebody wrote that in the book. I'm supposed to be scared of that? After sitting here and watching you not have no power, For the whole thousands of years, people have been believing in you. This is what was that? So you saying with all the things going on in the world, people dropping bombs on all types of innocent people, you saying that the worst thing, he had to take out space in the Quran to put in there, yeah, and see, if you don't believe in me, that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing. Of all the unrighteousness you can do, not believing in me, that's the tip of the top. You look, everything else, you can make it into heaven. See, let me tell you something. If that's the type of person you're talking about, right? If going to heaven means that you got to stay forever, right? You got to spend the rest of eternity with somebody who had the power to save you, right? And did nothing? Where that happens at? See, this is what I'm saying. I don't know nobody black who can, that makes no sense to them. Look, before you threaten me, man, you got a lot of business to handle. And I ain't saying you, right? You got that out the Quran or whatever, right? But I'm just saying, let me see some business get handled. You know, whatever you believe in, like I said, man, you know, what I want to just keep driving home to you, man, is for you to take up some kind of physical activity. You know what I mean? Working out, you know, boxing, martial arts, MMA, whatever you think is you going to be interested in, right? Where you can stick with it long enough to be proficient, right? Where you don't have to be scared of a man walking towards you in a store. Like, I don't know where you're from, but this is New York City. You know how much people is walking around from how many different directions? Let alone the people that's 30 flights up that you're unaware that they're even looking out the window right at you. I have no idea how you can live like that. Like, how do you go to the supermarket? And like I said, it's just, look, I don't want to wake up, right, and see, you know, Umar, you know, they got you in your YouTube page and everything on the news, right, talking about you crashed out, man. Because somebody was walking towards you and somebody else said something on the internet, this Christian apologist on the internet. So somebody was walking towards you in a store and you reacted. See, because look, not for nothing, right? Again, I'm from New York, right? So we got the Son of Sam here. Right? We had the Son of Sam, right? You know, he was going around, they was calling him the 44 caliber killer. Right? And when they caught him and they said, yo, why you did that? And he said the neighbor's dog told him to do that. So I'm just saying, that happening, you know, that was going on. I don't even think I was 5 years old yet, right? But this is pervasive in the whole city, right? So it's, yeah, I'm aware that this is going on. So of course, I'm a little bit apprehensive about people that is mentally and emotionally challenged. And this paranoia that you describing here, right? Like I said, I don't know where you from, man, but for the well-being of the people that's around you, man, I hope you deal with this, man, in a civilized fashion. Hey, Menadeuce, look, stuff like that has happened though, Menadeuce. Remember this maybe was about 2 or 3 years ago, I think, where a young brother he's supposed to go pick up his little sister someplace, right? Somehow he made a mistake and he was on the wrong porch, right? And it was a old man that lived in the house. You know what I'm saying? And he just blasted. I think he blasted through the door. Well, whatever he did, right? He didn't even try to identify the person. He just blasted him, man. And it was a young kid, man. The kid was like 14 or something like that. The guy said I'm gonna be up all night trying to look at God. See, look, I should have gave you a simpler one. But look, I'm telling you, look, this is what I'm saying, God. This is one of them ones where you gotta relax, God. Right? You gotta relax. Like how you said, look, go to rest, right? Whether tomorrow, think about it. You know what I mean? Like it's one of the things where you can't stress it out. Right? You gotta let it, and see, that's a part of when you're able to let that thing flow through your brain cells, right? Smoothly. You see what I'm saying? It's a mindset, but yeah, just like I said, you can answer it tonight, right? It's gonna come to you, G. It's gonna come to you, right? But look, I give it. No, you on your own. You on your own. You know what I'm saying? You'll get it though, G. Trust me. It's not out of space. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta know heart surgery or none of that. You know what I'm saying? But with just in general with people, man, that's what needless to say, that that stuff I don't want see statistics, right? It's funny. Like I said, almost every day we wake up and we hear this many people have been hurt, you know what I'm saying, or unalived, you know what I'm saying, in these various places, in situations where, people was 100%, innocent. You know what I'm saying? And then you hear those statistics and it affects you, right? It could be 10 people, 20 people, 1,000 people, whatever, right? Let's say they say 1,000 people got hurt, right? That's not going to affect you as much as if they tell you that one of those 1,000 people was somebody you love. You see what I'm saying? See, you hear it and you see it on the news and all of that every day. You see, I'm one of the people that I don't need to wait till it happened to me, right, for me to understand what it is. So, tell you like Michael Jordan, man, stop it. Get some help. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, man, we got any other questions before we wind this one down? This has been quite a live stream right here, man. This has been quite a live stream. See, that's why we teach the science of everything in life, man, is love, peace, and happiness, man. What will be your rewards in regards to destruction of the devil? Peace and happiness, man. Not death, hell, and destruction, man. That's for the other people. That's for the religious people. All this Armageddon and the rapture and the hellfires and all of this. Bombs dropping and all of this stuff. So yeah, we'll go ahead and take this one down. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow, we're gonna check on the progress. We're gonna check on the progress of the mothership, right? We're gonna need to check on the progress because we know it's only 3 days left. It's only 3 days left until the 19th. And then I hope all y'all been righteous. That's all I can say. You know what I'm saying? But also, there was remember Professor Liang, right? That we covered, the Asian guy that's a teacher. He's got some new episodes, right? That I think would be interesting. We might check him. You know what I'm saying? We got a couple of things, but I'm saying, let's go a route like that. Right? Let's go a route like that, you know what I'm saying, so that we can not have to, we don't want to spend all the time destroying. That's unbalanced. You see what I'm saying? We gotta spend time building. You see what I mean? Because we have our own knowledge and wisdom. We're not just reacting or for what the devil do. We got our own knowledge and wisdom to manifest. Right? So a lot of times we gotta keep that in mind and get to that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times what people is doing, you end up doing a lot of complaining. You know what I'm saying? You end up, always talking about what the devil is doing. And I understand that, yeah, we want to be aware. Right? There's I don't particularly advocate that mindset, you know what I mean? But you have those that say keep your friends closer and enemies closer. Right? So, I'm not necessarily one to say keep my enemies closer, but I will keep my eye on them. But I'm not, I'm keep my eye on them, but I'm not gonna take my eye off the ball either. This is the science of being able to see with more than the naked eye. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, when I come on tomorrow, we're gonna deal with one of those things. One of those topics or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I got like some topics kind of lined up, and I just haven't done it. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember we did the one with the 5 myths about the 5% nation. You know, I got some more topics like that. You know, some substantive. So how do you say that word? I'm getting above my pay grade. But you know, some lives that have some substance. Let's just keep it simple. You know what I'm saying? But you know, everybody do the each one teach one. Hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? You know, other than that, in the meantime, between time, I'm gonna sign off and say peace, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.